Welcome into Sports Memo's Betting Podcast, NHL. We're going over the Thursday night card with our NHL expert, Andrew McInnis. Andrew, welcome to the pod. How are you?
Hey, Drew, doing pretty good. It was good to see you in Vegas. Now back home doing my thing, hitting the books hard with hockey, and looking forward to getting back and do some podcasts with you. So we got 3 games today, and looking forward to going over them with you.
Yes, what over about the last two or so months of the NHL season, you're up 30% ROI on the season, and looking pretty good there on the ice. What do you think you're doing? You're doing right, and what are a couple things that you're doing wrong so far in the NHL season?
Yeah, well, it's funny, Drew. I mean, percentage-wise, it's just around 55%, something like that as far as the whole season goes. But first of all, comparison to last season, the way we got underway, I'm hitting my big plays. I'm hitting my 5% plays. I have one actually going right now as we speak on this podcast. That's kind of exciting. They're up 3-1. I have Colorado. They're doing pretty good so far. So hopefully I didn't jinx it. But I feel like it's just been money management, managing, getting the good odds, getting the good number, the best of the number. You talk about that in, sports like football and basketball, getting the best of the line, Drew. I'm trying to get the best of the odds and the best of the number for my clients. And so far it's been worked out pretty well.
Yeah, hopefully not jinx that Avalanche play there. But going on as we speak, we're talking late here on Wednesday. Might be Thursday on the East. No, it's still Wednesday night on the East Coast. But going over the Thursday night card here with Andrew McInnis. First, wanted to ask you a question here, McInnis. In betting totals in the NHL, totals are a great way to go. In my opinion, it's easier to beat a total than a side a lot of the times. But when do you really look for unders and when do you look for overs when you're betting NHL, man?
Yeah, so there's a spot I looked at yesterday that I wanted to mention because many people might look at sometimes a very obvious play where it's, two teams that are very talented, scoring a lot, matching up together. So they think it's obvious that that game's going to go over the total. I disagree. It's all about the spot and the way the teams are in, whether it's the traveling, whether it's how many games they played in so many days, or just, what kind of game they're coming off of. Are they coming off a loss? Are they coming off a win? And we're going to talk about that actually in one of our games here coming up. And one thing I actually spoke about with you in Vegas was that I look at the start of road trips to bet unders and the end of road trips to bet overs. That happened last night with the Montreal Canadiens. They had a 3-1 game to start their road trip. But as that road trip continues on the West Coast, Drew, against, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, I'll be looking to bet the over as that progresses and they start to get a little bit tired.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense in terms of when on the road trip, and heck, it's been working for you so far this season, so hopefully you can continue it going. Check him out at sportsmemo.com. Our NHL expert, Andrew McInnis, on Twitter, at McGinnisPicks. We got a couple games for the Thursday night card. Hopefully grab some right side winners here, McGinnis. We got, hockey rotation number 035036 here. New York Islanders at the Boston Bruins. We're seeing the Bruins about minus 175-ish favorites at home. 5.5 low total here, McGinnis. How'd you look to bet the Islanders and Bruins?
Yeah, first and foremost, Drew, I would be looking to bet on the Bruins here in a bounce back spot, but we're going to take a look and dive into the under here. I mean, this is a spot right here when I was just speaking about when you look to bet unders, when you look to bet totals. Certain teams can improve and from one game, they can try and make a difference. And we're looking at two teams that had a very, very bad defensive performance in their last game out. Boston gave up 4 goals to LA. Hats off to LA for a great effort from them. But the coaching staff, and Tuukka Rask for the goaltender for the Bruins both said, hey, look, we did not play our best game. I didn't play my best goaltending game. We have to be better the next time out. And I've seen this happen with this Bruins team that they know how to correct themselves. Not just a few games down the road, Drew, right away the next game. And this New York Islanders team, the past 2-3 years, they've been a huge under team, massive under team, and they just got demolished. 8 goals scored against them. The Nashville Predators took them down. So when these two teams meet, I'm really expecting a low-scoring battle here. We're going to go under 5.5 as both teams look to correct their mistakes from their previous game. 6 of the last 8 have gone under on the road for the New York Islanders, and 7 of the last 8 on the road versus the Boston Bruins. I expect a defensive battle here, a goaltending battle, and we'll go under 5.5 here.
All right, we got a middle game here before we get to the nightcap as well. The Chicago Blackhawks at the Winnipeg Jets. Next game up, we're seeing Winnipeg minus 190 north of the border, 6.5 being the total here, McGinnis.
Yeah, I guess you could say it's kind of a totals night for me here on this podcast with you, Drew. We're going back to the total as well in this one. We've got a Chicago team that's playing right now. Actually, they're playing the team that I bet. I bet against them for my 5%. They're playing the Colorado Avalanche. And look at this back-to-back situation. So another spot to look at a team to bet over the total. If they're already a team that struggles defensively, you can count on them to score a couple goals for you already. And you're on that second half of a back-to-back against a strong, talented team. Look over the total. I mean, that's the way to go, especially with a spot like this with the Winnipeg Jets, where they've just been so up and down. I mean, this is a team that you cannot trust on a night-to-night basis to get the job done. But they're coming off an effort. You know, they allowed 6 goals against Carolina. They scored 3 themselves, but I know what they're capable of, and I know that Chicago is giving up goals left and right. Their defensive core looks very depleted. Their goaltending hasn't been great. I had a chance to see them when I was in Vegas, and I saw the Golden Knights absolutely pounce all over them. The transition was unbelievable. The counterattack was great, and they give up far too many shots. So I think both teams get the job done, get on the board, and let's not count out Chicago either. They can also score themselves. So we're going to go over. This time it's a little bit higher here, Drew, with 6.5. We're going to go over the 6.5 in this one.
And McInnis, you were here in Vegas. We got the chance to hang out on, and you went to the Golden Knights game, man. What did you think of the arena? Really, just the hockey kind of atmosphere overall here out in the desert compared to other NHL towns that you've been to.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've been to a few different NHL towns, a few different NHL arenas. It was great. I mean, the passion is in the air. They're definitely a hockey city now in Vegas. But I will say, Drew, there's some different things going on at that Vegas game that I've never seen in my whole life. I mean, the entertainment, the theatrics, the hype is a little bit different. And that's, I think, what should have been done, because they have to be unique and get excited in their own ways. So the chants and the pregame ceremonies, the pregame hype, all a little bit different, but it's all working out for them. And they've had a great start to their franchise.
Yeah, they really have. And this season got off to a little bit of a rough start, but they've been playing better of late, right? Are you looking to bet more on the Golden Knights or maybe looking to fade them?
Yeah, I'm definitely betting on the Golden Knights these days, and I think that they went through a really hard time when they had their goaltending issue with Marc-Andre Fleury down. I always talk about, Drew, how important it is to have that 1A, 1B, a backup goaltender that can really step in and be just as solid as your starting goaltender. You see that with Boston. That's why they're so good. And Vegas lacks that. I mean, their secondary goaltending is not nearly as good. And anybody I talk to, whether it's at the casino or walking around the strip, they love Marc-Andre Fleury. He's a star. Yeah. He's a stud there. I mean, I see Fleury shirts everywhere I went. I didn't really see any other goaltending shirts. So that kind of tells you something a little bit. But, they have a promising future, absolutely. And then they're going to make a run at the playoffs here.
All right. He's Andrew McInnis on Twitter at McInnis Picks. Check out his service at sportsmemo.com. We also got a special coupon code here, NHL79. That's NHL79 at checkout for his 7-day all access for $40 off there. So you get all of his NHL plays that he releases, plus any other sport that he does release, mainly handicapping the NHL with success, up 30% ROI. That's return on investment plus 30% over the last 2 months on the ice. So check them out, sportsmemo.com, coupon code NHL79 at checkout for his 7-day all-access package. Let's hit a nightcap here, McInnis. We got 4-5-4-6 here, Minnesota at Arizona. We're seeing Minnesota as the underdog on the road here. So we're talking 3 games, all with the home team favorite here. Arizona -140 to -150. Some opinion in the marketplace, depending what sports book you're shopping at, as we're talking right now, with a total of 5.5 at Arizona here, McInnis.
Yeah, absolutely, and rightfully so, Drew. I mean, anybody that follows hockey knows that the biggest team right now, the biggest splash that was just made recently, the Arizona Coyotes picked up Taylor Hall from the New Jersey Devils, and he's been a guy that, everybody knew he was going to get traded at some point, Drew, but you were wondering where it was going to go, where he was going to end up, and Arizona was kind of a shocker to a lot of people, and I think Arizona just became a team that means business. Everybody knows now that Arizona is a team that's going to be a threat in this league. So I think this is a perfect price. This is priced right. Odds makers certainly know that people are going to go after Arizona here. I'm certainly going to back them again in this spot. They are now a very well-rounded team. They just added another outstanding goal scorer. They already have 2 great goalies. Their defense is pretty good. The more secondary scoring you can get, the better chance you are of making a deep run to the playoffs. And that's what we saw pretty much in Arizona's game in their debut against San Jose Sharks, in Taylor Hall's debut. I mean, he didn't, stand out by any means, but he was just another threat. He was another guy to go out there and add some dangerous shots, some dangerous opportunities, and carry the puck in that can be trusted. So we're going to go ahead here and grab the Arizona Coyotes on the money line, Drew. But I want to make this very clear, and I was really hoping to get a chance to mention this on the podcast here. This 5.5 number that we're all seeing right now with the Arizona Coyotes as a total is not going to be there for long. We are going to see 6s, 6.5s. I'm calling this right now after the new year. This is bye-bye 5.5s. And right now you're seeing a plus price, a decent plus price to get over 5.5 right now with this game between the Wild and the Coyotes. Keep in mind, this Minnesota Wild team has also been involved in some relatively high-scoring games against some pretty good teams on a decent scale here. I mean, the thing is with Minnesota, they're so up and down. They're very unpredictable. You don't really know what you're going to get from them. But I certainly know I'm going to get from this Arizona team. And also, Minnesota's actually had the edge over Arizona. They've actually had their numbers. So I think Arizona remembers that. They come out strong. They're a new team, adding Taylor Hall. They have great goaltending. But I still think the scoring is going to be up from this team. So over 5.5 for me and the Arizona Coyotes. Let's get this sweep here on the podcast.
All right. Hopefully, McInnis. And you're talking about, bye-bye to the 5.5 on Arizona, correct, going forward, and mainly because the market is a little bit slow to react on their pace. Is that mainly the reason why?
I agree. Yeah, exactly. Their pace. I mean, they've become a very fast hockey team, but even just Taylor Hall being added, I know that to some people, Drew, that could honestly sound foolish. But to me, I truly feel like that one player is not going to score all the goals, but it opens up plenty of more opportunities for other players. I mean, he only got 1 assist yesterday or 2 days ago in their game, but he looked like that team looked like a brand new team. They're all sparked. They're jacked up. I mean, imagine being on a team that was sort of on the bubble. It was all right. They're a pretty good team. And your GM goes out there and gets a former MVP. That means he believes in you. That means he believes in your team. He trusts you. So you're a little more fired up now. And I feel like the scoring ability from all kinds of other guys now is going to open up. The chemistry is going to be there. We're going to see some higher scoring games with this team.
Man, great stuff, McInnis. Good to have you on for the NHL podcast. We'll be doing this more, guys, now that college football is coming to a close. But remember the coupon code for this podcast, NHL79 at checkout. You get a 7-day all-access package for just $79. That's $40 off at sportsmemo.com. Coupon code NHL79. McInnis, anything else you want to throw out before we shut this down?
No, that's good, Drew. I appreciate it, and I hope we can do a lot more together. And once again, it was fun hanging in Vegas, and I hope to come back soon and shoot some more videos with you.
Absolutely, man. That you'd be welcome anytime here in the desert. So good hanging out with you, and good breakdown here on the games. You want to just sum it up, the 3 games?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we're on the under in the New York Islanders versus the Boston Bruins game. I mean, these are 2 teams that have to avenge themselves after both of them getting scored on abysmally, really, and some really bad goals that they got scored against. We're also on the Chicago Blackhawks versus Winnipeg Jets over the 6.5. I think the Blackhawks are very easily scored on. Second half of a back-to-back game. We'll see some goals in that one. And Minnesota Wild, Arizona Coyotes, we're going to go with the Coyotes on the money line. Maybe even grab the regulation if you want, if you can. If your book offers it, get those odds down. But minus 140, I'm comfortable with it. And the over 5.5, I love that bet. We'll call that the best bet, if you will, of the podcast here. Minnesota, Arizona, over 5.5.
Okay, so is that 3 bets on 3 games, or is that 4 bets on 3 games again?
I've got 2 bets on the 3rd game. I'm on Arizona and the over.
Doubling up. All right, so 4 bets for the listeners. Best of luck if you're tailing out there, guys, and best of luck to you, McInnis. We'll have you on again real soon. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. Best of luck with your bets, and we'll talk on Friday for the NFL Every Game on the Board podcast.